Hello and welcome once again to the Sydney Survivor podcast. The ORCA pod is back and we're here to discuss all things Sydney Survivor episode 2. It's going to be a smaller group this time for the activities of the ORCA pod, but that's just going to get more time for some in-depth discussions. Max, unfortunately, is on a flight, so can't be with us. Annabelle is in New Zealand at a conference, potentially drunk. I think that could have made it even better, but still she's not available. But I am joined once again, week off, but now back on the pod twice in 1 week is Jules. Welcome.
Hey, excited to be here. We're finally getting some action.
Are you as excited about my jacket as Danny is?
I don't think anyone could be, but it's a pretty nice jacket, I will admit. Thank you.
I do try to please. I do try to bring some style here to the ORCA pod. It's I don't know if it's symbolic of Amanda, like the Captain America shirt that I wore last week, but like let's say it is for fun. Amanda will be joining us later, which is really exciting. I'm looking forward to catching up with her and seeing what her experience was like. But I guess do you want to let's start with Amanda's gone. She may be on the edge of extinction. She may come back. Why don't we talk about, I know it was in the middle of the episode, but why don't we start off with John got voted out and we've seen a bit of him on edge of extinction and he seems pretty salty about it.
I mean, what first group isn't salty? But yeah, he was not happy to be the first one out. He seemed to be like plotting for what happens if he gets back in the game, which, yeah, I would be too.
What odds do you give him to getting back in the game?
I'm assuming they bring someone back at merge. So that's probably going to be, 6 or 7 people. He might be in with a good chance. We don't know what the challenge is. We don't know who else is coming his way. I think if Merlene is on edge of extinction, he's got no chance. I think she's winning whatever the challenge is.
Yeah.
We'll see. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's advantages or something out there for him to find that might make it easier for him. The little egg he found could be anything. Could be nothing.
It's nothing. It's a leftover egg from like the first challenge.
You don't know.
What do you think that's anything?
It could be something. He could at least pretend it's something.
It's nothing. Do you really think it's something?
I don't know. I wouldn't put it past him to be something.
I think it's nothing.
Even if it is nothing and he pretends it's something, it could be an advantage for him.
It's the one of the leftover eggs.
This is the advantage in the battle back challenge.
The egg.
I don't know.
It's not. It's nothing. It's nothing, and I can't believe he thinks it is. I assume he doesn't. Okay, so I like that we got a bit of him on there, and then but I guess we go back to his tribe, the ones that voted him out. And there's a bit of discussion.
They started by telling us the temperature. They had to let us know it was 1 degree.
Do we believe that? Is this for dramatic effect? I know what these productions are like.
It was still pretty early in the morning. They all seem to be complaining about how cold it was, maybe.
Yeah, but 1 degree. I'm not saying it's not cold. I'm just saying, are they, like little secret for you all. Spoilers, whatever. It's not spoilers, but spoiler for an episode that you've seen in Melbourne. That challenge that was the longest challenge they've ever had, the puzzle, did not go for an hour. I'd say it went for 33 minutes.
Why say it went for an hour?
Because it's for dramatic effect, and that's what I'm saying about
it's still the longest challenge ever. Like that's impressive. Why doesn't it be? Oh, it went for an hour. Oh, look at you guys. It just means you suck at puzzles.
I know, they're just making us look dumber than we were. Danny was saying it's that cold. I'm not saying it was a cold, but you didn't have a thermometer out there. Thermometer? What's the thing that measures like?
No, the thermometer or the I don't know. Barometer, is that it?
Barometer. No, that's wind. That's pressure. Anyway,
why are we talking about that?
Well, how much pressure would the barometer be measuring in the blue tribe? They've come back from tribal council. There's a bit of. Does it seem like everyone is sure that Lizzie cast the extra vote on Danny, or do you think there's a little bit of uncertainty between some of them?
I think most people seem to think Danny wasn't sure because TK was the one who threw out her name. So I think she thought maybe it was him. Everyone else just seems to be saying, no, it's definitely Lizzie.
Yeah. So, and they've grouped up. They seem happy to think Lizzie doesn't. I don't know if we got a confessional from her, or we might have. Did she see
Start.
Yeah, but was she concerned that she'd voted wrong? Does she see herself as the next target?
She said that she was aligned with John and she did see him as someone she wanted to work with moving forward. But she also said that in her mind, Danny's name was on the block because, like John, she wasn't getting to know people as well. I think that's a bad read by Lizzie. It looks like Danny's in with a group much more than she is. Yeah. But Lizzie also said that, she just needs to start ingratiating herself with the rest of the tribe, which is the best thing for her to be doing.
Leah is annoyed that we've started at 9:30 because she's watching rugby league, but it's trash, so I don't know why we care. Yeah, we're and also, what time are the Tigers playing? So we've got Lizzie feeling okay, but really she shouldn't. But she's got a swap now. Jump to the end. There's a swap, so she's in a different space. Everyone that was in a bit of trouble is now no longer in trouble.
Well, it'd be interesting because both tribes seem to be like a 6+1. Like Lizzie was left out and Ethan was left out. So it'll be interesting to see if one of them ends up in the majority. Are they going to flip to the other side? Yeah, it'd be a very interesting swap.
Just jumping up, we're gonna jump around here. Did Ethan vote wrong?
He voted for Leah.
Oh, so he did vote wrong. Okay.
Yes.
Though he thought the votes were going on to.
He thought it was Shane being split on Leah.
Leah is the backup in case Shane played an advantage. So he probably didn't think Leah was going.
No. And he did say that he didn't want to vote her out.
He may have still known about the plan because
he was sitting on the end and Amanda was next to him, and it seemed to happen at Tribal. So they might have wanted to include him, but it's a bit hard to Amanda's here go, sit back, Amanda. Ethan, we're going to vote for her.
And I can't see them playing an expectation that Amanda would have an advantage, but you do want to take that precaution if you could. So if Ethan was already throwing a vote on Leah, then there's no real point in getting him to change it because that protects everyone else in a scenario that an advantage is played. So it would make sense that he would have either he didn't know about it or he did and he just kept it there anyway because he was always playing that Leah vote as a backup. And plus, it told a few people he was doing that. And I think what's really important when you play these games to build trust is when you say, I'm going to vote this way, that you vote that way unless you are told that it's changing or you've been informed that it's going to be a different arrangement. You vote the way you said. Otherwise, you come 100%. Back and next time people can't trust you for your vote because you can't be trusted to do the thing you said you were going to do.
Yeah, completely agree. And he had said, I don't want to vote for her, but I will. So he's showing the group that he's putting what everyone else wants above what he wants. So he's showing himself to be a really good ally.
Except he was almost copying votes. This is from most of them.
Seriously, episode 1, Danny's the decoy vote. Episode 2, Ethan's the decoy vote. Why are you trying to kill off my podcast host?
I'm not even sure if Ethan was a decoy. I think he was the vote. I don't know if it was Leah.
Which makes no sense.
It wasn't Leah.
Well, no, the original plan seemed to be a split between Ethan and Shane. Ethan having the majority of the votes, even though they wanted to get Shane out. I don't think they understood how a split is meant to work.
But I just think that
executed.
It was never Leah.
No, never Leah.
It was Ethan until it swapped to Amanda.
Yeah.
Or potentially Shane. Look, we've started with Tribal. That's how they do it in RHAP. Let's do it here too. Let's talk about Tribal and then bounce back. I actually have some live footage from Tribal of Matthew Pitcher, where he's already been memed a lot this season with his reaction to seeing Christy on the show. Yeah, exactly that. And he was doing it again at Tribal as the Amanda votes came out. Here is the live footage of him. I'll just show everyone there. As he reacts to repeatedly Amanda and then Amanda.
Oh my God, I voted for her, but I can't believe there's votes.
Amanda. Are we surprised? I in my, cast assessment of Maddie thought he's going to be, honest and trustworthy. And here he is just snaking Amanda as hard as he can and then just like fake acting his shock. I'm
Is he
surprised.
like pandering in case she comes back from Edge of Extinction and he can be like, I had no idea. I don't know where the 6 votes for you came from.
Yeah, I don't love a panda, to be honest.
No.
I think it's insulting, and I think people figure it out, you know?
Yeah.
I think people take the time and figure it out. Look, you know, I know everyone loves to talk about me talking about my orgs, but I did it once in an org when we were down to final 6, and it was a different sort of game style, but I obviously had done this person wrong, and I tried to tell her that I had not, and then she got tired of me gaslighting me and blocked me on the message program, which not even the host knew you could do. And then I had to take the fight into the public to, like, you know, try and get resolution. But it was stupid because it was gonna be figured out. And I think the fact was she actually started believing me that it wasn't me for like maybe 10 minutes or something, and then talked to somebody else. And then once she realized that I'd been lying to her about it, it was 10 times worse than me actually doing it and not owning up.
You are much better off owning up to it, but blaming someone else. Just being like, look, the vote changed at Tribal. I didn't know what to do. I wrote your name down. I wish I hadn't. I wanted to keep you. That is going to appeal to her a lot better, that honesty, than this fake panda, which she's going to pick up on. As soon as someone else from that red tribe goes to Edge of Extinction, they're going to be like, yeah, Matt knew about it. Everyone knew about it except for Ethan.
Matt, yeah, Danny says own your shadiness.
Exactly.
And exactly, they're going to find out, and he was part of the change. So we were discussing this. What actually happened here? So we think they've come in with a plan. Let's talk about the tribal plan. It's all in reverse, all right? They come in with the tribal plan to potentially vote Shane out to remove his advantage. Of course, Shane then finds another advantage.
Apparently looking for his gloves. Do we buy that?
No. But frankly, like, Shane's clearly just wandering off and not chatting with anyone anyway. And
who needs allies when you've got all the advantages?
Who needs allies when you got advantages? And then I have to make like karate moves from like, hang on.
He's saying no glove, no love. Come on, Shane.
No glove. If the glove fits, you must acquit. The Chewbacca defense. Now if he finds the advantages and then has the cojones to not play them. Obviously can't play the legacy advantage at this one, but not play the idol when he's clearly a target. Do we think he knows he's a target, or do we think that you think he's blissfully unaware?
Blissfully unaware. As he's walking into Tribal, they had the confessional of him being like, oh, no way am I going to play it tonight. Like, he'd already decided he wasn't going to play it at the first vote. Yeah, I don't think he has any idea. He doesn't even know everyone's name. How is he meant to have made allies?
He knows the name of his beloved idols, though, of which he has 2 of them.
Well, yeah. He probably knows Freddie's name.
Yes, the immunity
little immunity
idol, the tiny little immunity item.
My immunity idol here, I think, is bigger. Hang on. There, mine's bigger than that tribe's.
What is that from?
Apparently, it's from David versus Goliath. It's got season 37 underneath it, but
that looks very official. I hope you paid a lot of money for that on eBay.
It was a gift because people know me well.
It doesn't have a Survivor logo on it. That's absolutely just like, you know, someone's bought that. That's a knockoff. That's nothing.
But it looks better than that tribal immunity. So
fair enough. And as Shane says, it's not about the size that counts. It's how you use it. And it'll be interesting to see how he uses his idol. So he chooses not to play one here. There's a lot of discussion. Malise saying he didn't talk to anyone because he was too busy talking to production about all of his advantages, which he has very, very many of them. So notwithstanding Shane's, this is a really interesting situation. So notwithstanding he has an advantage that no one really knows about and is wandering off looking for other advantages instead of building social or strategic connections, he still doesn't end up as a likely person to get a majority votes at this tribal council. I think what we've got here is a tribe of people that are looking to overplay.
This is a hot mess tribe.
Like these are
Yeah, there's everyone who's so excited to play, and it's a tribe of CKs.
Yeah, well, and there is such a thing as too much of a good thing. Like even I can admit that. So, yeah, they're all keen to make a move instead of making a sensible move, and then which is put the majority of votes on the guy with the advantage. Obviously,
even
you need to
when they discussed the vote split, they had 4 on Ethan and 3 on Shane. If you are trying to split votes because you're worried someone has an idol, you need to put the majority of votes on the person with the idol. It doesn't work otherwise.
Absolutely, because otherwise you've achieved nothing. Like, okay, they play their idol. The only thing you're doing is giving them a bit of a womp womp sad trombone because their idol didn't actually save them. Like they didn't need to play it.
But then if they don't play it, they go back to camp going, "Oh shit, I'm next." But hey, I've got an idol.
I just say something while I write to Amanda to tell us when we're going to be on.
Oh, okay. And the other thing I want to get your thoughts on, do you think it is a good idea to do a big vote split this early? Like if you're doing a proper 4-3, if they're gone that way, and let's just say they've done it properly where Ethan gets the 3 votes, that's sending a pretty bad message to Ethan that, hey, you're next. If they wanted to put 1 or 2 votes on him, that's probably a good idea. And that way afterwards you can be like, oh yeah, Amanda wasn't in on it, Leah wasn't in on it, whoever, you can bring him back in. But if he's part of a split, it's pretty clear you're not in, we want you out next.
Yeah, well, look.
So I don't know if it's a good idea.
It's a dangerous splitting votes on your early tribe is a dangerous precedent to set for when you ultimately swap. You are already setting someone up to want to flip immediately because they were copping votes on prior tribal councils. Now, I wouldn't anticipate a tribal a swap after 2, which they seem to be getting. So it's not the worst thing to do on a first vote, especially if you're splitting on Shane, who everyone actually knows has an advantage. Like it seems like everyone's pretty sure they saw him or someone saw him and he's otherwise wandering around looking for stuff. So if he's your target, then I think what they ultimately did in the end was the right move. It's just they weren't working it out they got it at the last minute. And what they did was take out someone that didn't have an advantage, that hadn't looked for advantages, and that no one felt particularly close enough to of the larger group to worry about removing her from the group. So no one's feathers are too ruffled, I don't think.
Yeah, that's true. I think if you are going to do a vote split this early because you are worried about an idol, it doesn't need to be a full half the tribe, though, is more what I'm trying to say. Like, I think you tell Shane that the vote is Ethan. One other person throws their vote on Ethan just in case. And that's all you need to do. And that's enough of a vote to convince him that, this person who voted for you, they're not in with us, but you're part of our group. It's like what they did. They could convince him that it's the same situation that happened on Blue.
No, you're right, and that's what Ethan was actually trying to do with his Leah plan.
Yeah,
he was saying that he and I think Maddie P were going to vote for Leah, and everyone else could vote for Shane, and that was like their strategy. So, like Ethan had the right idea there, but ultimately, there's a group now. Apparently, now because we're doing reverse. I read this somewhere, maybe on the Facebook post for our page or somewhere else, but I read somewhere that Joseph had a go at Leah for stuffing up the puzzle.
Yeah, look, after the challenge, he did say...
It didn't make the edit. It didn't make the edit, but he had a go at it.
Okay. After the challenge, he did say, he had a confessional where he said that he never wanted to put himself in a hero role, and he went and did that. But then he said he used what I think is his favorite phrase, plausible deniability. He clearly doesn't know how to use that phrase because that's the incorrect use of it. But I think what he was trying to say is he was going to throw her under the bus. So I'm guessing that's what he eventually did.
If his like having a go at her in public was actually a fake out, I don't look. As all evidence to me on Melbourne Survivor to the contrary, I actually don't think that's a very good move. I think starting an argument with someone, calling someone out for a poor performance in front of the group, if that's what he did, and that's what this comment made it sound like he did, is never a good decision. I think that's a way to make you one of the two targets. Oh, these two have got beef. They both were on the puzzle. Let's split there. I guess why we're going in a bit of a reverse order. It's like a time traveling event. We could do the challenge, and because we're talking about the puzzle.
There's so many issues with this challenge.
Well, one of the issues is that there was basically half of a tribe did nothing.
They stood there and waited for someone to come and they could hand them the piece. Danny at least pushed Luke back in the direction they needed to go in.
Did literally nothing. Also, why were they standing in like a baseball diamond? Like, why couldn't they be spread out throughout the field?
Why couldn't he have had to go to one and then come back? Why did he get to do everyone in a loop? There was Danny saying they were callers.
Everyone was a caller? Who was a caller?
I think the idea of a caller is that you have one, and then it does put them in that hero role, and usually they've got to direct multiple people that are blindfolded.
Do you know I can give you multiple ways we can make this more interesting. What if everyone was blindfolded? So the person with the puzzle and the person trying to get to them, and you're both like trying to come to me, and they've got to follow your voice.
Yeah,
that could be more interesting.
That would be good. See, we've already come up with a few ways to improve this challenge.
And then of course the puzzle.
I'm sorry, how old are your children?
I have a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old. But they've been doing. Your 5-year-old
could have easily done that puzzle.
A 3-year-old could have done that puzzle. They have these puzzles for kids. This is a kids puzzle where not only are the shapes drawn, but the colors are even there to match up the picture.
It was basically a coloring in, but with puzzle pieces. Like they could have taken away that bottom board bit and just make them solve the puzzle without it.
That's a good call. I feel like even with the cheat code underneath it, they took too long.
Yeah, Danny's saying her son would have slayed that puzzle.
Yeah. Do you think that I still think they took too long. Like
they did. It's because there was two of them doing it, and often two people trying to do a small puzzle actually makes it harder.
Yeah, I'd be like, get out of my face. I'm solving the puzzle.
It needs to be one person just going bang, 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 bang.
I think another way they could have solved it. I'm also okay. So there were extra people that sat out. Obviously, 3 in one and 2 on the other.
So who were our sit-outs? We didn't really get to see.
No, I glazed over who was like they only really made a focus of like Luke and the other person that was doing the actual walking.
Luke and Merlene.
Yeah. And then the puzzles. Shane is complaining about our armchair coaching. We've played Survivor. This isn't armchair coaching. This is like color commentary from like pros. Thank you. Go and watch Melbourne 3, which you're clearly not watching, Shane.
Yeah, thanks. Shane. Also, we're more having an issue with the construct of the challenge rather than your actual playing of it.
Yes, we're coaching and correct. We've been coaching the whole time though, but now we're coaching the production's choice of puzzle. Ethan had an idea.
Yes, go.
That these passed on to me. I should have just claimed as my own. Another great way of doing this puzzle would have been for the puzzle makers to be blindfolded and had someone tell them how to solve it, given the answer was right there in front of them. So they could have been like, "Oh, you got to pick up that block, put it here." But I think to give some understanding to the production, I think that what they are doing here was making a very quick challenge because they are trying to fit in a whole day of Survivor, a whole game of Survivor, 16 people, an Edge of Extinction style comeback at some point in a single day.
So I think all the challenges are going to be very, very short, and they have to be.
Yeah.
It's, a whole day, a whole game in 12 hours. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's what Eli is saying. So it very much is a situation where you think, and I think all the ways we're suggesting would actually make it really interesting. But in the end of the day, does anyone watch Survivor for the challenges, even real Survivor?
Maybe your kids.
The answer to that, what?
Maybe your kids do.
I haven't shown my kids Survivor.
kind of parent are you? I'll be telling them
Well,
straight away.
yeah, well, my wife's a little bit concerned about like the lying and the deceptiveness, and
Yeah, fair.
they certainly haven't watched me in Melbourne, because they'll be like, "What the hell's up with our father?"
Yeah.
But
Why does
I think my
everyone
daughter.
hate him?
I think the problem is also I'll be like, "Okay, kids, this is really important to me, so we're gonna start with Borneo." And they're gonna be like,
Oh, yeah, no,
"Ugh,
fair. They need to be a little bit older for that.
boring as hell."
But no,
Actually,
I agree. I am not interested in the challenges on Survivor. I think it's a way to break up the episode, and that's about it.
yeah. TK, my bro, my actual real life brother, says it was a good way to form relationships cross tribe when they were.
Yeah, well, I was excited when I saw Danny and Ethan standing next to each other. I'm like, oh, is this where it happens?
Yes, well, she's saying she approached Ethan about his advantage and what he did with it.
Did he tell you what it was?
I wonder if hey bro, how you doing? How's mum? Shane says I don't watch Survivor because I don't
evident.
watch. we were aware, Shane.
The man with two advantages doesn't watch Survivor.
Shane, I don't know if your fellow cast members told you this, but I can guarantee you that all of the superfan cast members that you're playing with were so annoyed that you have these advantages and they have nothing. Like, it's every Survivor fan's dream to find an idol, an advantage. And you basically could have actually found your gloves and you would have been equally excited. Shane's there to show his kids how to play, how to be a man, how to tough something out. I don't know. That seemed to be the gist. I wonder, is Shane as Shane's kids watching him play this, or is he keeping it hidden like I did from my children? What do we think? I reckon Shane's showing his kids.
I mean, it seemed like that was kind of the point of him playing, so I'd say he's showing them. We don't know how old. Do we know how old his kids are?
Well, he's got 3, so one of them's going to be like a reasonable age.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I reckon he's showing them.
Yeah. Okay, so they lose that challenge. Yeah, so they lose the challenge. They go back to Tribal Council. We've discussed the plans. They go to the plans. They have all the worst plans until they get to Tribal Council, and somebody, and we're not sure who, changes the plan on the fly. I don't think I've ever seen this happen in the LRG. I don't think I've ever seen this happen in an episode of Real Survivor, other than when everyone's getting up and talking to each other and whispering to each other, which, fun fact, is generally discouraged on LRGs just due to the lack of microphones. That basically it would be bad footage and nothing would get captured if everyone was whispering to everyone. So it doesn't normally happen.
Danny's saying it was Leah. It did look to me like it was Leah. So you seem to think it was Matt.
Well, I saw Matt, and maybe I missed part of the conversation, but I saw Matt talk to Merlene, who I think was on his left, and then talk to the person who was on his right.
It looked to me like it started with Leah. She had Shane on one side, told him, and then turned to Joseph on her other side, and then he kind of passed it down the line.
Yeah.
That's how it looked to me. Melina's saying, it was Leah.
They told me, and she told Matt, and then Matt told Jazz, who was next to...
So, to me, that says that Leah is a dangerous player. If she could change a vote at Tribal, that is scary. I would watch out for her.
It's interesting. Everyone's saying Joseph was very involved in it. If Joseph was having a go at Leah, was that a complete plan between them? Was it a fake out?
They seem pretty tight, so
yeah.
I would say it was a planned one.
Interesting. I don't recommend the fake fight stuff or the fake we're not working together stuff, because I think ultimately you end up saying too much stuff and then it comes back to you. And even though you say, oh, we had permission to say nasty things at each other and throw each other out, you start wondering how much of it is actually legit. particularly when it all cuts coming back to you. So I don't recommend that approach if that's what was going on. But it worked here. I think Amanda got blind. That must have been a brutal blindside because, like, John, for example, knew he was probably getting some votes. Maybe he doesn't think he's getting all the votes, but he's getting some votes. But no one would have told Amanda that you're a target or you might
Amanda
get a
thought
vote.
there was a completely different plan happening.
It's because there was a completely different plan.
Exactly. So, it changed.
So she would actually have had no idea, and she would feel, it would be good to get her on, because I reckon when she comes on, I reckon, yes, Amanda will be joining us soon. I think Amanda would be just devastated, because you'd feel like all these people lied to you, which they did, and that's part of the game. But when no one's actually, like, you'd think like they all kept it from you.
Yeah.
You know, you'd think, oh, I thought Jazz or, you know, Malene or whoever Amanda thought she was close with would have told me that maybe I was a target. And
well, she did seem to be, it seemed to be a 3 with her, Jazz, and Malene. And Malene in her voting confessional said, I don't want to vote for you, but this is the plan.
Yeah. So, you know, whereas if that had happened during the strategy talk time, then, you know, she would have said, hey, you might be copying a vote. We got to try and do something about it. Or you might be copying a vote. Do you have an advantage? You know, without any of that, Leah's obviously the Tigers game is over, and she's nailed it. Now, I don't know if that's the rugby or her entrance or the fact that she destroyed this tribal council with an incredible pull-up. One of the most incredible at tribal votes I've seen in Survivor, including the real show, but definitely in an LRG. And, you know, Merline's trying to justify her savage betrayal of Amanda here by saying she was collateral damage for everyone just knowing to be no one wants to be out of the majority. But you all still could have voted for Ethan. I guess if you wanted to save her once Leah, Joseph, Shane had turned, it's still 5-3. But I guess that goes to the point you've made, Jules, that you don't want to be splitting that much on a first vote.
No. And it looks like Leah initiated the vote because Amanda had been telling everyone what to do. And I don't think you can tell Leah what to do. I think she does what she wants.
Leah is coming across as one of the best characters.
I was watching with Annabelle, and she was loving her.
Oh, you watching with Annabelle? What, like live or something? I'm interested by this.
Yeah, Maddie P had a little thing.
A watch party, yeah.
Yeah.
Where was my invite?
Were you going to come to Brunswick?
Probably not, but doesn't mean I wouldn't like to be invited. You know, like, it's nice to get an invite once in a while, isn't it?
Sorry. Next time I'll make sure you're on the guest list.
Thank you. And I'm incredibly disappointed, but anyway. So I guess we've covered the tribal, we've covered the challenge, we've covered Shane finding more idols. And I guess what we haven't covered is our friends in blue. They've come back from their council. They're trying to work it out. They are desperate to win the challenge, which they ultimately do win.
TK came to be claiming credit for John being the vote. He said something about, everyone wanted Christy, but I didn't want her out. I was like, okay, this is your move, all right.
Would you expect any less from my brother than just to claim moves that, you know...
Absolutely not.
That maybe you only had a passing. In fact, considering he's the one that threw out Danny in the first place, he really just got on board with the John vote more than anyone. Yeah. So, you know, but there's nothing like claiming a vote. Was he claiming it? Refresh me. Was he claiming it to the camera, or was he claiming it to the...
in a confessional? He was saying, everyone wanted Christy, but I didn't want that.
Oh, you gotta love the cast member that lies to the audience, or is he just that delusional that he thinks? I think that's
Colin B. He is truly a Kelly.
That's how we roll, you know.
Yeah.
Such is life.
They seem to be on the Blue Tribe. There did seem to be a little 4-person. I don't know if it's an alliance or just 4 people chatting, but Sam, Michelle, Christy, Danny, they look like they might be a 4.
We called out that 4 last episode. That's what I think is the 4.
It looked like TK was in it last week. I'm not sure if he is in it this week.
I think TK is a convenient fifth number for them.
Yeah.
And I think that
I love this four working together. I think it's great.
And I think he's a convenient fifth. I think that he's a good fifth to have because he's going to feel like he's tighter with Sam, and maybe they think they've got someone else, or maybe it's like there's Danny and Michelle, and then there's Sam and TK and Christy sort of in the middle is probably how they're sort of looking at it. But I don't think it's really that at all. TK's just a perfect fifth, and I think Sam would cut him as soon as he had to. But equally, he doesn't need to know that he's fifth. And once you get swapped, maybe he's actually a tight three with you now. Like, plenty of good options there.
Exactly.
I think, and the thing about Luke as a player, he strikes me as someone that in a swap situation, and I know we're now talking about swap because there is a swap and you wouldn't have actually expected a swap this soon, but in a swap situation, he would be loyal to his like OG group. He gives me 100%. That vibe. So
he already had a confessional about it. I think it was after the challenge. He had a confessional saying that, you know, he thinks that because it's going to be a quickly moving game, he thinks everyone's going to go down tribal lines, and that's what he's planning to do. So, yeah, I think
boring. Please don't do that, Luke. Boring.
Just because he's going to do that doesn't mean everyone else is.
No one likes a pagonging, all right? Like, just make it exciting.
I have a feeling this season is going to be chaos, and I'm here for it.
But he's not the kind of guy that you need to have had like a bazillion strat chats with to make sure that you're locked in a swap or a vote.
One would probably be enough. Be like, hey, we're working together? Yeah, cool, sweet, bro. All right.
Yeah, well, I didn't mention this on my interview for Melbourne this week, but Max and I aligned off a nod.
Off a nod.
Off a nod.
Okay.
And Luke strikes me as the kind of guy who could do the same. So when we had the meeting bit, like they had a meeting bit, we weren't allowed to talk, but you could look at each other. And I looked at him, and he looked at me, and I gave him a nod, sort of like, you know, that's sort of up nod, the man up nod. What's going on? And he gave me one in return. And then like later on, he's like, I'm with you and me, like to the end. I'm like, yeah, of course.
Okay, I tried to do that.
We locked it in with the nod. We don't even need to verbalize this.
I tried to do that. I made eye contact in my LRG before it started. That person had a very bad first impression of me. Apparently, I had my resting bitch face on. So that didn't work for me.
Yeah, well, you just can get the nod right. Like, you know, maybe you didn't know like
well, there's the male up nod. What's the female equivalent? Can we do that?
I don't know. Do females do the up nod?
I don't know. Do we?
Have you seen blokes do that? You know, like that to each other?
Yeah, I know what the up nod is.
Yeah. It's a male thing. It's some sort of like, you know.
Yeah, I didn't really do it. I was trying to do some eye contact of sort of like, I didn't want to be like, yeah, we'll work together.
But you're overplaying with your eye contact there. You're overplaying. You're being too.
Jenny's saying the nose scrunch.
Yeah, you're being too assertive in like your facial expressions. It's scaring people off in a social context.
I am pretty scary.
So we've got Luke, and he's in that group. So I think Christy's still playing really, really well. I really liked how they did this episode where, you know, first episode had such a focus, I feel, on Christy, which absolutely made sense. And
she was the episode,
you know, her tribe went to tribal as well, so that assists in what they were doing. But I felt that Matthew Pitcher's here. Sorry. Were you here earlier, Matthew Pitcher? Did you see my live coverage of you at Tribal Council?
I think you should play it again anyway, even if you saw it.
I'll have to hang on. For in case Matthew missed it, this was the live moment of you at Tribal Council. Just give me a second. Look, I'm obviously making a bit of time here while we wait for Amanda. Hold on. This is.
He's saying the Smize Alliance. I love that.
That was Matthew Pitcher live at Tribal Council. Oh, he did. Speak of who? Yeah, he got it. Yeah, I love that moment for you, mate. It's iconic. I have a message from Amanda. Let's see what's going on with her.
I'm going through my notes to see if there's anything else that we haven't discussed. Did you see Danny skipping back from the challenge after they won?
The skipping?
She was full on skipping. Yay, we won!
Well, there's nothing like winning a challenge, like
especially when you've just been the target.
Oh, and cop votes, yeah, like
yeah. And I don't know if you know this about Danny. She is really competitive.
I don't think that... I know she's very competitive. I wonder if she thought she was going to go. I don't think she would have thought she was going to go.
Nah, she was good.
And who do you think...
It is nerve-wracking getting a vote.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Particularly the first. Like, no one wants to be the first boot. It sucks. I haven't felt that, but I could just imagine.
I haven't felt that, but I felt being a very early boot, and that sucks too. I felt having my name come up at the first tribal. It's unnerving. All
right, so Amanda is with us. I'm just gonna bring her in now. I'm really excited to... Everyone in the chat seems very excited to get Amanda's perspective. She's been watching, she says, so she's heard all our comments. And it'll be really great to bring her in. And here comes Amanda. Hello.
Hey, guys.
Hi. Hashtag blindside. I love it.
It was a massive blindside. How shocked were you to see that happen?
Actually, when Eli was lifting up the votes from the vase, you can actually see all the votes have Amanda behind it. So I could see I already had like 3 or 4. So I already knew. That's why I was smiling the whole time as it was reading it out. But you know, I just feel I was very confident with what we were doing, and I knew Ethan would not have been in that. So obviously it felt like crap. You know, and it is what it is. You know, fair enough. I think Leah had the plan of doing that for, you know, like she said in her testimonial or confessional, she wanted to, you know, make some action, and I reckon that's exactly what she wanted to do anytime she was in tribal, and that's what I felt. Yeah.
Why do you think? And look, obviously we know there's Edge of Extinction in play. You're going to Edge of Extinction. You may come back in the game. We don't want to know about that, about what happens from there on. But, you know, you can talk a bit about what you might have heard after the game or throughout to get us a better understanding of what happened in terms of, did Leah have a particular issue with you? Did you not have a relationship, or did she see you as an easy option for the move that she wanted to make?
There was a few times where we were able to all bond and talk to each other, and I felt like, you know, I tried to put a bit of effort onto everyone, and obviously my main alliance that I was wanting to focus on was with Jazz and Merlene.
Yeah,
and I just wanted to obviously try and at least have, you know, conversations here and there with everyone, and you can see that I had a bit here and there with Shane. It was a bit difficult with Shane because he was just kind of hanging around at the back in the corner here and there and just doing his own thing. I think he felt a bit outside of the group, but he like, you know, he came in here and there. But, you know, I felt like I chatted with everyone. With Leah, I could tell she was a lot younger than me. So the connection there was probably a bit more, like there was a bit more distance from that. And she seemed very interested in other people. So I kind of gauged that already. When I was first meeting with her.
You just mentioned that you were close with Merlene and with Jazz, and that was the impression that we had from the first episode.
Yep.
Did it really hurt? Did it really cut to have them just vote you out right there? Did you feel like you'd been duped a bit?
Yeah, I felt like I had a lot of questions. I was very angry. I'm sure you saw in my exit. You know, very angry, very bitter. Still probably am. I felt a bit sick after watching it again on Monday, on Sunday. But, you know, I just felt like there could have been a multitude of reasons as to why things happened that way. You know, being put on the spot last minute, kind of like not having the chance to discuss why and, you know, why are we changing it, you know, this and that. I think that it played a lot of on their minds as well, and they just kind of went, okay, everyone's doing it, so we're doing it, you know. So it is what it is, you know, fair play. You know, it's part of the game, and you know, like they all say, get out of the blindside. That's the best way to get out, right?
It is. It is,
really.
But I don't know, like, if it's the best way when you've been blindsided by the two people that you felt really close to. Like, if the votes were 5-3, you'd probably be like, oh, okay, like they got me, right? The other 5 got me. And if your people had stuck with you, then it would have been 4-3-1, I guess. So you go anyway. So from their point of view, they save their games in a way in terms of like just voting with the majority. However, I can see myself in their shoes making that decision if I was given some time to think about it, like before the tribal. But to just switch it on the word coming down the line, like how do you trust that? Like I don't know how they can ever trust that, like just because the person next to me told me we're actually voting Amanda now, whose name has not been said the entire strategy chat time. I can't see how Jazz and Marlene just jump onto that plan thinking it's the actual plan with any certainty. Did you wonder that yourself?
I honestly feel like they just heard it and then they went, okay, we're doing it. I'm not saying that inexperience comes to play. I'm saying that there's a lot of, they were all, it was early in the morning. They're all probably really nervous about what's happening. They didn't want to be first boot, and that obviously that idea of being first boot played in their minds as well. Oh, I better listen. They look genuine at the time. I can't talk to Amanda. She's over there. I can see Merlene staring at me, and I'm not sure if as soon as Matt told Merlene, or Merlene was telling her, and they were looking at each other, I saw straight away something was up, but I couldn't go over there.
Yeah,
right? Or
yeah.
I probably could have, but I saw straight away. That's what I was saying in the confessionals. I saw looks, and I knew something was happening.
So you think this happened before the tribal council?
No, this happened during.
Oh, you saw the looks in the tribal council.
Yeah, I saw the looks during.
Was going on.
If you can see the voiceover with Matt and Merlene, I'm looking over and I can see Merlene rocking back and forth, looking at me and doing these kind of things. And I saw that entirely, and saw them mouthing at each other, and I was like, something is going on, and I can't do anything about it, right? Like I'm not going to go in there, hey, like don't vote for me or whatever. I knew something was happening, so
yeah. The only thing you can do is like be suddenly, hang on a minute, what are you guys talking about? What is going on here? Because you've got to have faith and trust in your alliance. And if suddenly in the middle of tribal council, you're suddenly doubting them verbally, then that's the worst thing you could do in terms of showing that faith.
Yeah. And also like Ethan had an advantage, and we all suspected that, that Shane had one as well, or had whatever it was. I just felt like it was a no-brainer to just get Shane out, to get Ethan out. And for Ethan to verbally say, hey, I got this, I don't know how to play with it. I saw right through that. You know how to play with it. You know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're just saying it just to try and sway it off you. 100% I knew he would not have played it. So that's why I was like, you know what, let's go 4-3. Because I knew Ethan would have done, whoever he would have done, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And then, he would have been easy. And then if he did play it, then Shane would have gone. So...
Your friend Merlene says here, I knew Leah had issues with Amanda asking her to be the decoy vote, and I didn't want to lose Leah as she was my connection to Joseph. That's Merlene sort of looking at all her relationships here and connecting them. So she's saying that you were throwing out this Leah decoy, and that's part of Pat's why it came back on you. Do you agree with that assessment?
So what happened at when we were back at camp was that we were like, okay, let's do 4-3. Let's get Ethan out, and then Shane will be second. So we have to come up with someone that we're telling them that we're voting as opposed to them, right? So we're like, who can we do? And then I was like, well, let's look back at the challenge. Who stuffed up the challenge, right? And then we were talking about the challenge. Oh, at the end of the day, and the puzzle, this and that. And then I was like, Leah, I was looking around, and then Leah was looking at me, and I was kind of like, well, do you mind if we go on you? Or like, can we go on you? And then she's like, yeah, I'm fine with it. So with her saying that, maybe I took it with a grain of salt and should have probably said myself, Yeah.
Like it's a hard thing, but you don't want to be the decoy, particularly when there's all these advantages floating around. But no one else wants to be told they're the decoy anyway. either, because you just basically told them they're basically expendable to you.
Yeah, like if you think about it, yeah, like if I thought about it a bit more, I probably would have done it differently, obviously. You know, the only, like, I didn't want anyone to be out. My vision was purely Shane or Ethan, just because Shane played that, Ethan said the advantage thing, and then I was kind of like, mate, read you like a book. Let's get you out. Like, that's it, you know? And I just saw it as a no-brainer. I thought it was a mutual decision from everyone. And, you know, it is what it is.
There's a comment from Eli here that says there was a scene which didn't make the edit for obvious reasons that Joseph blames Leah for the challenge loss. Now, I have no idea what these obvious reasons are, because that sounds like a fantastic scene. So more clarity, please. But were you there for this situation where Joseph was blaming Leah? Were you around when that happened?
I don't think I was physically there.
Yeah.
But I
heard about it?
I heard through someone that, Leah did stuff up the challenge or something like that. Looking back at the video on Sunday, why were you wearing gloves doing a puzzle? Like,
well, it was 1 degrees, wasn't it?
1
Like,
degree.
everyone was,
doesn't matter.
the fingers were going to fall off.
Doesn't matter. But, like, you know, it's a challenge. You know, we're playing a game, and it doesn't matter. You know, if I had to go naked running down the road, I will. You know what I mean? So, but I was so far away. We were so distant in our bases. I didn't know what was happening. So I'm over there chilling, chatting with TK, chatting strategy when we do merge, and then, you know, oh, it's done. Like, we're looking at it like, oh,
Yeah.
we're done. We lost. Oh, okay. And we walk back, and we couldn't see anything. We didn't know what was going on. We didn't know what the puzzle looked like. Yeah.
I was making some jokes about Matthew Pitch's shocked Pikachu at the Tribal Council. Given that you knew you could see the votes and saw there was 5 or 6 Amandas there, how did you feel about Matt Pitch's shocked Pikachu reaction to a vote? He obviously knew what was going on.
I turned around and I was like, whatever, you all collectively voted for me. And then Eli's like, do you have anything to say? I'm like, nah. And then that's why they all laughed. And then, see you later.
Sorry. Did you, now coming into this, sorry, I'm just saying the karate moves to my son. Did you, Malene says, mad respect, Amanda, you knew what was going on. What's your relationship with Survivor? Are you a big sort of super fan? Are you,
Yeah, I am actually. I've probably started watching Survivor probably about 6-7 years ago, and I watch everything that's out now. I haven't really gone back just because, like, I've just been really busy with life. I play badminton 3 times a week and poker kind of full time as well as work.
Did you tell everyone on the cast that you are a semi-pro poker player, or did you keep that secret?
No, I have not.
That's the thing they always hide. You hide if you're a cop, you hide if you're a lawyer, and you hide if you're a poker player.
Yeah, so I was a security guard as well. I wanted to be a cop, an FBI agent, or AFP, APT, whatever it was. So I did all that stuff, and private investigator. I did all that stuff. But yeah, I'm no longer a real estate agent. But I work in the real estate industry as a recruiter at the moment.
Yeah. So how excited were you to see? Had you watched Christie's season? Yeah, 7 years ago. Yeah. So how excited were you to see Christy there? Could you believe that? Were you shocked?
I wasn't, because I knew she lived in, I knew. Yeah, I wasn't shocked. To be fair, I wasn't a fan of the season.
Well, no one was until she saved it with the most incredible final Tribal Council.
Yeah, I guess. But I didn't recognize her because I got there a bit later. And then everyone's like, "Oh, Christy." I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't recognize her.
I mean, perfect. I could have been good if you could play together.
Oh my god! Yeah, and then that was fun. I didn't have any interactions with her besides the initial hello, because I didn't make a merge, obviously. But may have come back to an institution, and then we all had that. I won't talk about it. But I didn't have much of an interaction with her until after Yeah.
What about Jules? Do you have any questions for Amanda about her experience?
You've answered the main thing I wanted to ask, which was, were you aware of the whispering going on around you? I want to know, how long did you have between the challenge and going to tribal?
It's like 15, 20, probably.
Yeah. And it was just, from what we saw, it looked like it was chaos the whole time. Is that how it really was?
Yeah, it was. I was trying to be everywhere. That's why you kind of saw me pop in and said, "What are we doing? Are we happy?" You know, so I was just popping in, checking on Shane, checking on Ethan, just to make sure they were comfortable. And you know, it was pretty chaotic, but we were all kind of within the same vicinity, like a little small park. So yeah, like we all had the time to obviously discuss what we wanted to do, I feel. However, if it was a longer day, I think people would have kind of bonded a bit more and kind of, you know, I think it was very rushed in that sense where we couldn't connect fully. You could only find one or two to connect fully with, not even fully still. So yeah.
Yeah, okay. There was something else that I've forgotten. Come back to me.
Did you have a good experience nonetheless? I know that it's hard going out second. At least it's not first, but it is second and first on your tribe. So I appreciate, and a brutal blindside, and the people you thought you were working with voted for you as well. You know, did you still have a good experience?
Yeah, it was a good experience. I've always wanted to do something like this, and you know, I'm glad I actually didn't make the cut, and then someone pulled out, and then I made the cut. So that was a bit lucky. You know, very excited, super, you know, grateful for being allowed in. Would love to do it again, probably in a longer setting.
Yeah, well, I thought you were fantastic. I think it was a really unlucky end for you, and I think you absolutely should apply for other LRGs. As someone who's done the casting for some, I can tell you that there is often a struggle to find women. I tell you what, if you're a straight white guy, you better be fucking amazing because there's a bazillion of you applying for these things, myself included. But in terms of actual other contestants, diversity, and also female applicants, it's harder. I think part of it is a lot of women will go, I don't know if I should sign up to go sleep with a bunch of strangers in a campsite in the middle of nowhere. Like, I don't know any of these people. This is an incredibly unsafe decision. But, you know, with the community growing and people getting to know people, at least, you know, you've seen them on this or talked to them in some places, I think people can feel more comfortable that they're a safe environment, which they are. But you would have a lot of success just based on the presence you had here and being that, you know, a lot of these RGs are screaming for fantastic women contestants. So I think you should apply.
Please do.
No worries.
I think Canberra is casting at the moment. Canberra and Brisbane. So apply.
Okay.
Yeah.
I might do Canberra.
Yeah. Canberra's a fantastic one. They'll be going in their 4th season this time. And, you know, these shows, they only get better and better as each season happens, as the organizers get more experience and get a bit more familiar with approach and get more helpers. Because what generally happens is everyone that played, like half of the cast that played the first one will come back and help the second one. And suddenly you've got like double the crew, and that just makes it so much easier to like put on the show. So people are very positive towards you in the chat. Maddie Pikachu says amazing. Amanda for LRG All Stars. That doesn't exist yet, but if there was one, he thinks you should be on it. Merlene wants you to please play again, maybe so she can blindside you a second time. Eli says you need a second chance. Maddie Pikachu again here says, no, I think he's just talking about everything, but he says giving you more kudos. And Shane's just talking about how cold Canberra is. Kate is
clearly you don't care about the cold if you're saying do the challenge without gloves. So
Shane is once again ignoring
I'm just very competitive. I'm very competitive, and you know, if once people get to know me, they'll know that, you know, I'm a joker. I love to have fun. You know, I just want to make everyone happy, kind of thing. And initially, I think the vibe was, you know, I was a bit colder, and I was trying to joke about like me being unfit and stuff like that. I'm super fit generally.
You wrote that. Did you write that in your? Was it you or Jazz that wrote you were unfit?
Lizzie.
In your. Oh, it was Lizzie that wrote that. Okay, yeah. You were making comments about being unfit, but you're actually fit?
I made a few. I did a confessional, and then I told my tribe that I was unfit.
Do you think that's a good idea in retrospect?
I don't know. I was just trying to lighten the mood, and you know, trying to build a bit of personality bond with people a bit, you know. And then just try to prove them wrong, and hopefully, you know, like, oh shit, we won the challenge, or you did great, and then it'll be like, you know, yay, you know. I was just
you're playing it down. Yeah, I can see that.
It sounds like a 2-day game definitely would work better for you.
Yeah.
And then Danny says, I think Amanda would have been a super dangerous player if she gotten deep in the game. You're just getting nothing but love and respect from your fellow contestants in the chat.
I agree. I think we definitely saw a lot of potential there, and everyone was very disappointed we didn't get to see it play out.
Leah just identified you as the threat you were and executed an amazing move to take you out. And it's the sort of thing that, we comment about, we watch here, we say, what an amazing move. But there's always someone who gets hurt by the amazing move, and that was you. And obviously you've taken it like a sport, taken it as the game that it is. You've come on here and talked about it, which we really appreciate. So thank you so much for making the time.
No worries. Thanks, guys. Thanks for the invite.
Oh, you're very welcome. And look, hopefully you go to Edge of Extinction and get back in the game, and we interview you again later in the season.
Yeah.
Better watch putting up the fight. Like I said in the exit, I'm going to get them all. So.
And one more here from Leah. She told you that you were just too dangerous. So you're getting a lot of respect, and that's what you want to see. People saw you as a dangerous player, and that's how we all want to be seen on these things. So the next episode will be on Sunday at 7:30. Tune in, and then we'll be back like always on the Thursday thereafter to lead you into the weekend, of LRG Australia, with Melbourne still airing on Saturday and then Sydney on Sunday. And Jules doing 2 podcasts a week. We'll be back on the Tuesday pod of the ORCA, the honorary ORCAs, as you are now called, for Melbourne. So stay tuned to the LRG channel and stay tuned to all the socials for Melbourne and Sydney. Canberra and Brisbane are casting for anyone watching that are interested in that and applying for their shows. Thank you, everyone who came into the comments and put through their commentary this episode. Thank you, Amanda, for making the time to come on and give us your insights. And thank you, Jules, for joining me and providing all your fantastic commentary. I think we did great without anybody else. We don't need anyone.
We don't need anyone else. It's fine, just us.
Yeah. So everyone have a good night, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys. Lovely to meet you guys. Have a good day.